Hey folks, how you doing? This is Mahesh. So I plan to buy a pre-built computer. Well, this video is for you. So places like Amazon and Newegg have lots of these pre-builts for sale. With these RGB lights and glass cases, they look really nice. And prices are very good as well, sometimes hard to believe these days. But if you take a closer look, you realize even though the CPU and graphics card are great, they use the cheapest parts for everything else. That's how they keep the prices low. People assume that having a top-tier GPU and processor automatically means that all the other parts are top of the line as well. So they buy these without question, only to find out later the sad truth. Let me show you what I mean. Take this Skytech pre-built as an example. It proudly says it's got a 9800 X3D CPU, and an RTX 5080 graphics card, a 2TB NVMe drive, and an 850-watt gold power supply. But if you look in the specs, it doesn't mention the motherboard. The reason most likely is that it's a cheap, low-end one. If it was a good one, they would have mentioned the chipset at least. Because the processor is a 9800 X3D, it has to be an AM5 motherboard. But AM5 motherboards range from this lowly B650M Micro ATX one all the way to this maxed out X870E chipset on this MSI board. And if they did use the B650 board, which is likely, they would be limiting the power of that RTX 5080 graphics card that they're proudly pushing, because the B650 chipset only supports PCI Express 4, and the RTX 5080 is a PCI Express 5 card. Now let's take a look at the RAM. It says it's DDR5 6000, but doesn't mention the brand or model. The true speed of RAM comes from its timings. Tight timings, as in this one here, will give better performance than the looser timings on this RAM, even though both are 6000 MHz. Now at the top here it says it has an 850-watt gold power supply, but no mention of the brand. So most likely it's a low-quality Apevia or GameMax instead of a good brand like Corsair, Seasonic or Antec. Remember, the PSU is the heart of the PC, and if the voltages it supplies to the rest of the components are off, they will die. Capish? Now the SSD they mention as a 2TB NVMe, most likely PCI Express 4. But see, this Kingston SSD and this Samsung are both PCI Express 4 NVMe drives, but the Samsung is twice as fast as the Kingston, but also more expensive. So guess which one will be on your pre-built. Finally, let's check out the CPU cooler, which they mention as a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler. And they go so far as to say air coolers are outdated and inefficient, which really fucking pisses me off, man. But that's another story. So 360mm AIO could be like a high-quality NZXT1 or Arctic cooling one, or some unknown cheap one like this one. Remember, cheap brands use cheap hoses and fittings, and if it starts leaking, the liquid will take out the motherboard and the graphics card before you knew what happened. So yeah, my advice is never buy a pre-built, unless it's from a company with a long history of quality. Instead, use a system integrator and choose the exact parts you want and have them build it for you. This way you know exactly what you're getting. Or take the list to the local computer shop and have them build it for you. Thanks for watching. See you later.